Thanks for coming. Is anybody who was at the talk this morning? I don't want to bore you guys with a lot of the same material, but there's half the crowd who wasn't there. We're going to focus in today, or right now, I'm talking about user-generated content. And anyone who wants to see what I presented this morning, I posted the slides on SlideShare and I posted the video on YouTube. I was hoping that this session would just be more interactive. So if you have questions, I'd really like to take them. I'd really like to just turn this into more of a discussion. I'll kind of run through some of the slides that I have prepared. But by all means, feel free to ask questions at any point. So I think that user-generated content is the key to engaging your workforce. And the focus of this is for the intranet. I want to keep this talk focused on intranet and web, not focus on external websites. So, the trouble with a lot of organizations is that they try to build a different website for their blogging solution, and they'll stand something up, and it won't be connected to the corporate content. Anyone who works in a large organization has that classic corporate homepage. And when you open your browser up, always the corporate homepage that comes up, and the communications team usually is controlling what kind of information is pushed on that page. And you get a monstrous sort of brochure type website that gets created where each group wants to have their own page and display what they do and what they're working on and share their information. And it's essential. It's very important to have all that information. But if you have that, and then you start a blogging solution or a forum outside of all that, you're losing a lot of power to bring people together and to focus, to engage people, to focus in on the corporate mission. And that's what I want to focus on, is what is the benefits of integrating user-generated content into your corporate intranet. So I'm going to run through this is the agenda. We'll just get into it. So to me, I call it's an online conversation. At the end of the day, there's multiple little conversations, but overall, the activity that happens within the organization, it's like a buzz, and it's growing. And the longer you have the system in place, the more people start to participate, and you get sort of an identity.
There's a hackpad, and you can actually take your notes that everybody can see, since we're talking about collaboration, and it's sort of like a perfect segue to what you just said. If you all are on hackpad right now, you can actually take your notes. Sorry, it was just so perfect. I could not let that go on. My apologies.
No, but it makes sense. It's all about this culture of sharing and doing it online. A larger organization has multiple towers and multiple buildings, and sometimes you get a group in this room that's working on something, and the next tower down or in the other branch or the other city, you got two other teams working on the same thing, and nobody knows it. Nobody knows each other, and it's costly. It's wasting government money. So being able to share more online connects everyone in the organization. The importance of authentication. I don't know what this picture is, but I googled anonymous and googled it. That's the only thing that came up. But when we turned on all the user-generated content, it didn't take long for us to decide, but we did have to decide, are we going to let people do this anonymously, or are they going to have to log in? And are we going to force them to log in for things like comments? Obviously, if you're going to blog, you need to log in because it's connected to your name. But we quickly realized that if we were to allow anonymous content, we're going to lose too much control. We're going to lose, and people are brave. They're braver when they're anonymous, especially on the internet. If you're posting your own blog and someone doesn't like what you say, you just go and post some nasty anonymous comment. Who wants that kind of negative contributions, right? You can't spin what you have to say in a positive way or in a respectful way, and don't do it at all. And when it comes to an intranet, you want to make sure that people are respectful. So we definitely would have considered you have to log in to even vote, to even comment, do anything. If you're creating any piece of information online, it's connected to a user. Yeah.
I would say part of the cultural issue that everyone will probably see this is that people feel as if in some agencies people feel as if they say something a certain way and they've got that accountability to them, then their manager or their boss or somebody's going to see that and start treating them differently as an individual or as an employee because of something that they say. And that's part of the issue sometimes with anonymous or not being anonymous online internally is that you've got that sort of fear that your name is there attached to something that's written in ink.
And it's in print, yeah.
Yeah, so that's sort of like you got to kind of compromise somehow, or at least a path from maybe anonymous to accountable.
Yeah, no, maybe, and everyone can do it.
Yeah.
What's right for their organization. Maybe at the end of it, obviously at the end of the day, but maybe, if I remember being in a boardroom meeting when I was younger, starting my career, I didn't want to speak up. I didn't want to say anything because if I said something, it's almost that same kind of feeling. And then after you get more comfortable with the boardroom setting, those who are more comfortable participate. They're not afraid to speak up and say something. Maybe that's the dynamic that we're kind of going to go through all together online.
I think at the same point, you always see people in the boardroom, they may not want to speak in front of a crowd of people, so that's harder to do, whereas they get behind a keyboard. They do get brave, like you said, just braver because they don't want to speak in front of people, but they will type something.
Yeah, they
want
public
their thoughts
speaking.
there, they just don't know how to say it. So, yeah.
Accountability is obvious, so if you're posting something, you know who said it, and it allows you, because you know who posts everything, you can really channel your governance. So, like I talked about this morning, we'll get into it later, but I wanted to dive into more of that situation. I remember when we first rolled out, like I was talking about this morning, there were two people that were going at it online on the forums, and it's quite heated. It was making other people uncomfortable. We really had to pull the posts off, and then even bring those people, the managers of those people, in, talk to them. But it only happened that one time where it really got serious. But at the end of the day, we had that little governance structure in place, and it kind of saved the project, I think, because if I didn't have that and this was happening and there was no little ethics review team or there was no structure to deal with these kind of situations, they would have shut it all down. So I think it's important to have that accountability. I also believe in offering choice and embracing variety. Everyone is different and everyone likes accessing information differently. So that's why when I'm listing out the content types for user-generated content, I like to provide a variety and providing a variety of ways for people to participate. So whether you're blogging yourself or you're posting something on a forum as part of a discussion, or you're writing a comment, it's sometimes a bit easier than writing a whole blog post and starting a discussion. Comment is more than just participating in a discussion that's already happening, or even just voting. At least you're getting your opinion out, and so various people with various comfort levels can participate in the online discussion. The 1-9-90 rule, I explained it this morning, but I'll quickly do it again. Is for every 100 people that participate in social media or in any endeavor, there's always a small percentage of people, 1% of the people who are really into it, the avid, enthusiastic contributors or content creators, and then you'll have 9 or so people that will be commenting, participating in that discussion on a regular basis. But you have 90% of the people who are watching, who are listening, who are keeping track of the discussion. And it's always important to remember that rolling out a social media platform within your organization does affect everyone, even if only a small percentage of people are actually logging and participating visually. If you can see that they're posting, everyone's kind of still watching, and the conversations are absorbed by everyone, and they make a difference. So for content type structures, these are the ones that we define. Our agency has a sort of a closed intranet. We can't connect to the web at all. We actually have two terminals, an internet machine and an intranet machine, so it's completely segregated. So we created these content types. We even tried to create a mini YouTube inside of our organization, and try to enable people to go on YouTube if they find a video and save that video and bring it in and give credit to the poster. Post videos, or a lot of people would go to our multimedia department and would film something, or film an interview, or talk about their project, or anything, and they would post a video. Every time and now it's become part of core business. Every time we have a town hall or a big organizational gathering, all the meetings are filmed, and they're all reposted on the mini YouTube site internally. The same with audio files. It hasn't really taken off much, but we do allow an ability for people to upload MP3 files or any kind of audio files that they have a recording, and to create a little mini type podcast culture internally. To me, it was about, because we were so segregated, I wanted to create our own internet experience for the staff, right, inside. So to recreate some of these tools, like even tweets, our intranet's not connected to any mobile device at all, so it's somewhat of a hack. But it's really just a content type that allows you to type 140 characters. But it works, and then we got hashtags in now, so you can, and they're clickable, and you can really see all the other tweets that are talking about that tag. And we have a master tweets page, which is just the flow. Every time there's a new tweet, it gets posted. But you see, so someone who's in communications or is organizing an event for their group, they tweet about it, they talk about it, might post a blog about it. We were running our project, we were always blogging about stuff and tweeting about stuff, and or if there's a car that one day, we have a new building and they built an underground parking, and some car actually drove down the stairs and got stuck. So people were tweeting like, don't walk there, there's a car in the way. Posted a picture. Because we don't want to post that on the internet, so we do it internally. Right? It's our little mini world, right? It's all online. I put a star beside, like if you're interested more in the Drupal aspect of this, all these are really content types. We pulled this whole thing off on Drupal 6, and when you use advanced forums, you had to use a module called node comments, and it would basically turn your comments into nodes. And we found it was very advantageous to treat comments like a node, because we could wrap some metadata around the comments, and you can actually add fields to your comments. So not only are you putting your name, which you already know because you're logged in, or your subject and your body, but you would have to classify, because we are a classified agency, so every time you post anything, it has to be classified. So we were able to put classification on comments, right? So if you're commenting, you have to, and then we would be able to track just more information about the comment if we needed to behind the scenes. But votes obviously are not node-based, but I thought I still feel like it's content. Just because someone voted on something, it's still information, it's still data. And then I think that you engage through content visibility and education. Things are constantly changing, and just because you roll out your system, it's not going to stay that way. Software is always evolving. So we need to get into education mode. And we found that when we were trying to plan our marketing or rollout, the best thing we could do was to teach people and use the education piece to do the marketing at the same time. Because so many people wanted to learn what a blog is, what a tweet is. How do I say tweet in French? All these kinds of things. Microbillet. And there's actually, that's not even the proper term. The proper term in French is even funnier. It's gazouillet. Anyway, but the education piece, and we had fun with it, and we started having little open sessions for learning what social media is all about, or And all of it is marketing, and all of it is tailored for educational purposes. And on our homepage, when we launched the homepage, we were able to, after a couple of years, start to form a good partnership with our communications team. It's definitely hard at the beginning, but they kind of came around, and we agreed that there was going to be a community spotlight on the homepage, and this community spotlight is a simple view, and all this view does is it just goes in and pulls all the user-generated content types posted and sorts them in reverse chronological order, and it posts the latest 5 things. So every time you refresh your homepage, you can see the latest 5 things that are happening in the user-generated content space. So you might have a comment, a forum topic, a blog, 2 other comments. If you refresh them, you get more activity, because everybody's on the homepage. The homepage has all the main announcements. It's when you open your browser, that's where you go. So to have that blend right there on the homepage, it's sort of also it shows that management is endorsing this social networking, this kind of behavior. Highlighting top contributors. This is something that I think a lot of people who build Drupal sites don't take advantage of enough of. This is the power of views. We set up master pages for blogs, for projects, services. Forum has a homepage. You go to the blogs page and you can see the latest blog posts, and that's great. It's great to have that. But if you can throw up some blocks on the sidebar or on the footer that show what are the most popular blogs what are the top reads, the top views of each blog post today, of last week. Which blogs are getting the most comments? Which blogs are getting the most votes? Who is blogging the most? Who has the most contributions, right? And if you can expose that information, it's kind of fun. Like I find it fun myself just viewing them. I'm like, instead of just seeing the last 3 or 4 posts, which may not interest me, I can see a bit more of a bigger picture by seeing, what are the most popular things. Why does everybody like this one? Oh, it's the director of HR who posted something, and it's controversial. It's really interesting, right? Who knows? But just to expose all this information is really powerful. I think we refer to it as, or the term is content enrichment. And you want to enrich your content with other stuff. What's around the corner? The old Amazon thing is people who like this book also like this book. And you apply that term, that concept to your content, and you can do some great things with it. Passive content moderation. So, I don't know, I think I kind of made this term up when everybody was worried about how we're going to let people post all this content. And at first, the first reaction was, well, anything people post is going to have to be translated. Anything people post is going to have to be approved. And it just didn't make any sense if we wanted to empower users to have a free, open voice online. So, sometimes we have to use the technology to make people who are non-technical okay with things. And I told them what we could do with this sort of flag is inappropriate, and they loved it. Our communications team, they were in every organization different, but our communications team was responsible for the intranet web. But the delivery of the technology was my shop. I was in the CIO. So I had to get their approval for everything we did. So I had to get their buy-in on rolling this stuff out. So the whole flag is inappropriate. It was an easy sell for them. And I told them about that it's going to be passive. That the staff is going to self-moderate. They're going to keep each other in check. And if someone goes out of hand, someone's going to flag it, and you'll get notified in real time. And that just made them warm and fuzzy. That's awesome. And they are now able to move forward. And then they started thinking about it, and then they came up with this idea of writing a etiquette guide, because they felt that there was a big generation gap within an organization. A lot of people may want to get involved with stuff, but didn't understand it at all, and A lot of people didn't understand what the sort of behaviors, what was allowed and what was not allowed. So they wrote this etiquette document, and it's quite evolved over the years. And that's actually something that we've shared with other departments within Canada. So we have to get our hands on it and share it. But it's a nice document. Like if you're trying to roll out your own intranet, and just having some of that verbiage, already a lot of work already put into it, and you can just adapt it to your organizations and send it out.
So are you allowed to etiquette, edited by your content users as well?
No, so it's
Or
just a
like
straight up
their-
document written and owned by the communications team. And it's linked on the footer of every single of the website. Every single page has a link to that.
How long?
Yeah, and that was the big thing. We tried to-
I know our web governance document is on the manual.
Manual. No, it's 2 pages,
Manual.
guys. 2 pages.
The last edit I saw was 160 pages. Yes,
So they're like,
that?
really? That's your governance document, that's like all the content.
Yeah,
creation,
you must
and-
use font size, yada, yada, yada. and
Oh yeah, we used to have that too.
But,
I threw that out when I took over the budget. Well, because at the end of the day, why do I say that? I keep saying
It's
that.
okay, man. Keep going.
We had that manual. What are the font sizes? What are all the meta tags that have to be filled in and all this stuff. But when you roll out your Drupal infrastructure, you're taking care of that once in your template. 90% of that huge ass stuff is being taken care of for people. And all the people that are publishing content didn't have to worry about any of these things anymore. They just need to fill in the form and write the words. The user community is responsible for content. Yeah, so we started rewriting it. Someone spent 3 weeks rewriting it. And he kept coming to me at the end of 3 weeks he came and he said, I don't know what I'm doing with this. And just throw it up in my meeting. And I went through it. All of this is being automated. We're taking care of that responsibility because we control the technology within the system. And it really came down to behavior. This etiquette concept is really focused on what should I do, what should I not do, what's too far, and what's okay to talk about. And Ken says you can talk about some social things, but make an effort to keep it workable.
And this document is to add the user-generated content only, right? This is not
Yeah.
for the primary.
No, the primary and secondary is more controlled and has those required fields to take care of all the important stuff. But the user, it's more for guidance for all users for the user generated. Trusting your staff. I remember the reason why we were able to work well with our communications team is the director was changed. The previous director just did not want to talk to anybody about anything. And the new guy that came in, he was more open-minded. And God bless him, he made this happen. We had the discussion, and he says, when I came with the flag as an appropriate thing, the whole passive content moderation, he said, he took it to the next level. He said, you know what, I trust my staff. I trust people. We hire good people. I trust them. So he kind of used that argument to convince himself. At the end of the day, we have to trust each other. We have to trust that we're going to behave. And those who won't behave, will deal with it. So this ethics review committee, that is what they called it, addresses inappropriate flags. So anytime something gets flagged, it goes to a list, and they all get it, and one person is sort of nominated as a secretary or something who manages all the requests and deals with them. And anything that sort of can be addressed by just an email reply gets done so. And anything that's a little bit too serious, calling labor relations, they'll call the meeting.
This individual that flags it, do you keep that metadata, or is it anonymous person?
Yeah, that did come up. So at the beginning we allowed it for anonymous. So you can flag them for anonymous. Yeah, because some people were shy to do that. Call someone else. And I remember even helping them set up the working group. And the big debate was, how are we going to make these decisions? What is our decision model? And who's going to say what's right and what's wrong? And I remember suggesting, we have values in our organization and everything else. That was the 6 values. And I said, why don't we just take those values and see if whatever has been posted passes the values test? Is it against any of our values? And if so, then we take it offline or we ask the person to change it. And if it's drastic, call labor relations in. Another level, right? It's like online harassment, these kind of things happen. They have to be addressed. But it's a little bit outside of the scope of that body. And that really worked well. And we found that as we went on, there's going to be friction. People are going to disagree with each other. And I noticed that a few times there was some heavy discussions happening, but it was polite still. And a lot of people were flagging and they wanted this taken off because it kind of made them feel a bit uncomfortable. But the director said at the end of the analysis that we're not going to get involved. So some issues we actually just let them ride out, which I thought was really mature as an organization to do that, right? They didn't feel that any rules had been broken, and just because someone had posted something that the other person blatantly disagreed with, that's fine, it's just going to happen. And we kind of just let it close itself, let the loop close itself.
The person, like when someone flags it, the person who wrote the comment or whatever, do they get notified right away that their idea has been flagged?
No, you don't know if it's been flagged.
Okay, so they don't have the option to realize, oh, I might have said something wrong and I can change it now before it goes up. So okay.
But I remember my blog post got flagged too. And I got a phone call not too long after. I was trying to teach people how to improve their computers. Some people don't know how to use their computers, like just clear type or make the fonts bigger, do zooming. Just don't know basic stuff. So I'm going to start a blog and I help people really. And I titled it, it's like, hit my PC. It's kind of like hit my car. And I wrote 2 or 3 blog posts, and after the 3rd one, someone flagged, you should be using that word. And I had to change it, and I lost all my mojo. I was like, that's so I stopped reading about it. Involve the right people and levels. So labor relations is not really involved in our working group on a regular basis. We only call them in when it's necessary. Or so if someone was flagged for their post, we won't call in their manager or the director, only if it gets to that level. So there's a lot of judgment about who gets involved, and keep it minimal, and only have meetings when necessary, and try to deal with as many things offline as possible. So I wanted to dive in a bit into one particular content type, the question content type, or the FAQ concept, and talk about how powerful it can actually be from a social networking point of view, or from engaging people and taking advantage of the power of the collective power of your workforce. So let's say you create a content type called FAQ or called a question, and you let it's kind of like the Stack Overflow. Does anybody not know what Stack Overflow is? So it's a website. Stack Overflow is it's like Yahoo Answers, right? Questions and answers, but for techniques. It's all about technology. And but Stack Overflow has a bit more functionality than Yahoo has. And I'll get into it in a little bit, but the premise is that anyone can ask a question, anyone can answer it, and anyone can vote on which answer they like the best. The original poster, the person who posted the question, can choose between those answers and say, this is my favorite answer. Doesn't mean it's right. This means from what I was looking for, this one is my favorite answer. And they go to the next level where users are awarded points for the most questions that they answer, which creates, and then they're recognized online as the top 10 people who provide answers, the top 10 people whose answers are liked the most, and all this stuff, and it's sort of like a domino effect. It builds. People are proud of seeing that they're smart, they're contributing, they're adding value to the organization. So this whole notion of user points or badges, you hear a lot about that. Give someone a badge for this or that.
How do you tie these types of questions and answers to the content that's already on your site? So I'm assuming that there's some relationship in a lot between those two. How do you pull those together?
Straight up node reference field. Yeah. So any of our content, any of our user-generated content or our secondary content types, and even the primary ones, they all have node references. And they can basically reference any node. So any node can reference any node. And if let's say you're running a project, so you can, but there was a few questions posted online about your project, and the community started answering them. It's great material there. You just edit as a content publisher, you edit the project, and you go to the node references, and you just sort of find that FAQ with an autocomplete field, and you save it. And then all of a sudden, you map your project to that FAQ. And then you can also edit your project and say, feature it on, with the checkboxes, and feature this FAQ on my homepage, my project homepage. So whenever someone goes to that project page now, they can see, oh, frequently asked questions, and there's links to those questions that you didn't even create, and you didn't answer, the community did. That keeps it simple. It works. That's the power of the web, connecting. We do that for related content too. We give one field we have a node reference field for all of the content types. So, is that what we do? Or no, let's say you reference like 15 different content types. The website homepage, the project homepage, will take all of those references. If there's 15 references to that project, it will, with views, you can just do group by content type, and then split them out in a grid. And so what we do is the project homepage, if there are 3 FAQs, 2 blog posts, 4 documents, 5 forum topics, then they'll just get broken down in alphabetical order by content type. So it's sort of like a self-sufficient framework for anyone who runs a project, a service, a group, and all they do is just reference, and it all just appears on that page.
Try that. You've got 15 minutes left, and I would have guessed there's a lot more questions.
Okay, yeah, let's get to it.
So here's what I was going to suggest.
I'll have 2 slides.
There's nothing in this room scheduled for lunchtime. And I've already told them that we should do a box and do room, but it can eat in this room. So if you want to grab a lunch, hey, you can.
I'm fine to stick around. Yeah. I came here to talk. I came here for this.
I'm doing it in a very nice way, right? A little passive aggressive, yes. But you're taking it very nicely, kind of like a Canadian.
Yeah, we'll say yes to
So
anything.
American.
That should be flag.
Yeah, flyer.
Yeah. And
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
No problem. In the spirit of keeping it simple, it's really, you can use the FAQ module, or you can just create your own content type, call it FAQ or call it question. And the 5-star module is pretty easy to use. That's what we use. Just add that in, and you can have like a rating system or star system. And you apply your ratings to your comments as well, so people can vote on the comments. And you use the magic of views to display it all in the right ways.
How do you sort through the questions based on number of stars and views or anything?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing with views is expose filters. So you expose the filters, you can do that via tabs or just drop-down menus, and make all the titles clickable so people can sort by anything. Just look up topic, added to authentication, taxonomies, so you have keywords as well, keywords. Yeah, you give them a Rubik's Cube. You give them as many ways to manipulate that list of FAQs as possible. You know, and you bring your themer and your CSS person in and make it pretty. Make it, just use out of the box just plain Jane tables, but. And you can take it further by using the user points module and the badges module, if you want, right? I know I had a chance actually to go to NSA and meet with all the different teams that work on web stuff, and they showed me they have a system called Roundtable. They basically had a bunch of programmers, or two guys, look and analyze Stack Overflow and rebuild it from the ground up, not with Drupal, but just another website altogether. Just made every piece of functionality and behavior that's there, they rebuild it internally and they use it. People ask questions about parking, people ask questions about anything, everybody's answering, right? It's a self-sufficient, help each other out system. And they've had a lot of success with it. And they use badges, so they have about 150 badges that they give out to different people for different behaviors. And they cleverly, over the years, is tweak their badges so that they're encouraging positive behaviors. And so people, if you won't give a badge out just for commenting 150 times. But if you comment 150 times and you get 5 likes on all those 150 comments, it's going to take you 6 months or whatever, then you get a badge. Right? Or if you posted answers to 50 questions and all your answers have had at least 5 likes, then you actually get extra permissions. The system will actually grant you a role, and now all of a sudden you automatically become a moderator. You get the moderator badge along with the permissions with it, so now you can actually edit anybody else's posts and you become part of the team. It's really great how they've done it. And they have 150. And they got this page where you can browse who's got what badge. And you go to the user's profile and it's all there. This guy has this badge. This guy has this badge. And it's like, it's pride. And it's momentum. It's contagious. So I just had a few screenshots of what Stack Overflow looks like, but it's kind of like this. You got the top questions, how many votes, how many answers, how many times can view. The great thing about Stack Overflow is as you're typing, or as you're creating the question, you create a question. As you start typing your title, it queries other questions that are already in the system. And you can do that with an autocomplete. With Drupal, there's modules to do this. And that way it kind of just stops you right there if your question's already been asked. And you can just go to it. It's another little clever piece of this, but it's easy to pull off with Drupal. And I saw about 2 years ago at some Drupal camps, there was a person who took a challenge or made a challenge and said, I'm going to rebuild the entire functionality of Stack Overflow with Drupal in under an hour. It was kind of like this game you played, just to show how it could be done. And he rebuilt the whole thing. I think it was one of his talks. He actually built it in front of people. So it's easy to pull off, but the organizational impact of a community question system, everybody can see. It's really fun. That's all I got, I think. No? Yeah. The benefits speak for themselves.
So you did this work, like 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, in 2010 I was off the project, and when I came back I was on another system, so I haven't really touched it.
So this was through this.
Yeah, still is.
Are they planning to use this stuff?
But
And they're frying.
But the sad thing is, when I left the project, other people took over, and my no-code policy went out the door, and the developers took over, and everything's code now. And so it's a throwaway. If they want to go to Drupal 7, they start. Big vendor opportunity.
Do you ever do any after the fact or supplemental analysis for like categorizing? categorizing sentiment with all this, you know, information? Like, do you ever do any analysis on, like, what's the, you know, what's the, 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 w
all this data?
No, I haven't.
Nobody's asked for any type of reports to that effect?
It might have asked.
Okay.
Like to sort of find metrics to measure the value added. That what you mean?
Yeah, quantified, but also qualified, because if something comes up, like, you know, the example you gave about suggestions based on type of thing, well, it goes beyond that in maybe a maturity model, in that after you have maybe a finite engagement, maybe it's more for that type of engagement, but after you have that time period, or even if it's ongoing, you tend to get certain types of feedback, whether they be ideas about certain things. It's almost like an ideation model. I didn't know if you had experience with that level of using that kind of information.
You're talking about like extracting ideas from the conversations that are happening.
Yeah, kind of like grouping similar ideas beyond just finding duplicates.
It's a great idea.
Okay.
So I can't speak more to it.
That's all right.
Sounds like a really cool idea. Yeah.
Just had a question about the aggregating all of that content that's user generated. Like, did you guys have like a library somewhere where it all sat? Did you cover that in the presentation, or particularly with just maybe like blogs or articles or things that were written by users, not just like tweets and things like that, but was there a library that it sat in that the committee kind of reviewed and then posted themselves based on after the review, or do you just kind of let it go up and then they get flagged?
Yeah.
Okay. So then my question.
And let it like.
So like at the NIH and like other places within the federal government, you know, you have certain more sensitive content like that where it kind of needs some reviews before it actually goes up. How would you recommend that being done? Would you put it like in a certain space, like a SharePoint, where it can be reviewed before it goes up?
Oh.
I know, right? Exactly. I know, right? Everybody sighs, you know. No, but I mean,
You're gonna have to leave now.
I know, right? I gotta get out, right? Like, but
a document management system. Yeah, for sure. You'd use something where you can control the access.
Yeah.
You could also post it, and we added the editor concept, so you can make anybody else an editor of your page,
Right.
of any node, any content type. And so I could create something, not publish it, add some editors, and then they can see it. So we can kind of work on it together before it goes live. There's multiple ways, yeah. I mean, if it's sensitive, you use something that gives you a bit more control, right? And do it offline. Get it all sorted out, and then post it when you're done. How about you guys? Have you guys had any experience with this kind of stuff?
Nothing that was.
Everybody has an internet.
Yeah, we all have internet, but at my agency, we sort of organically grew Yammer.
Do you organically what?
Yammer.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because people try to post stuff that is definitely not supposed to be posted on Yammer, because Yammer is proprietary and it's owned by Microsoft and it is on their network.
Good boy.
We get to use it for free.
Well, they don't own your content.
Yes, they
Post
do.
on it.
The terms of service, yes, they do. It is insane. They weren't, Microsoft didn't own them in the beginning. They bought them this year. And you have to pay significant money to get the extract out of the database, or to buy the license to use it as a license.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
I keep trying to get everybody to move to something along the lines of like how Untitled was built. Because it's second back. Because it would be a lot easier for us to control internally. But I never thought of, well, basically we've done is a knowledge management into Drupal out doing customization. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I like the freedom of doing it from an FAQ perspective versus the forums. Have you started to play around with forums for, you know, like, I was just looking at the ways to implement that, but you don't, it appears, at least out of the box, you don't have that same level of control, like to be able to relate, you know, relate the content, to vote on it, to answer those questions.
Yeah.
Have you
Forums
used
take off.
forums?
Oh, yeah.
Is
Well, we
it
had a forum
both?
for years, we had a forum, and it was people all day long, and they still are, and it's great. But I feel like now that we have more of a variety of ways for people to participate online, you can take, I don't know, with the content I just give you so much more. You do want a little bit of control if you're running the show, if you're running the system, and you're all to try and promote this good conversation. But so by having tailored content types for specific purposes, and giving people the room to play within it, it gives you more control.
Good flesh
Our
out.
forum, yeah.
Lunch, and then perhaps everybody can come back and play lunch.
Sure.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm gonna go
I think
grab
you your choice.
I'm gonna grab
Or
lunch
you
too,
were
and I'll
worried.
come back.
Sure.